Welcome back to the channel. Have you ever wondered why bad things happen even when you're trying to live right? Maybe you've been betrayed, rejected, or faced setbacks that made no sense. Today we're looking at the story of Joseph, a man who went from the pit to the palace. His life shows us that God can take the worst situations and use them for good. Scripture reading Genesis 52:20 says, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives." Teaching point no. 1. Betrayal doesn't cancel God's plan. Joseph's brothers hated him. They thought he was arrogant, and their father, Jacob, favored him. On top of that, Joseph kept having prophetic dreams about becoming powerful. So his brothers did something terrible. They stripped off his colorful coat, threw him into a pit, and then sold him to some traders who took him to Egypt. They thought they had ruined Joseph's life, but they didn't know that God had a bigger plan. If you've been betrayed, remember, people can hurt you, but they can't cancel God's purpose for your life. People don't have the final say, God does, and He's still in control even when things look bleak. Joseph's story reminds us of this truth. Don't let the enemy fool you into thinking your situation is hopeless. God's got a way of turning things around. Joseph was sent to prison after being falsely accused by Potiphar's wife. He didn't do anything wrong, but ended up spending 2 years in prison. It looked like all his dreams were over. But those 2 years weren't wasted. They were part of God's plan. Sometimes the waiting room feels like wasted time, but it's really God's classroom. He's building your character for where He's taking you. When you're going through hard times, remember, God is training you. He's making you strong for the future. Teaching point no. 2. Promotion comes from God, not people. After Joseph served his prison sentence, he was finally free. But instead of celebrating, he was taken straight to work as a slave. He had to start from scratch again. At this point, it seemed like his life was a series of bad breaks. But everything changed when he interpreted a dream for Pharaoh. Impressed by Joseph's wisdom, Pharaoh made him second in command of Egypt. Joseph went from being a lowly slave to ruling over the entire country, except for Pharaoh himself. The lesson here is, don't worry about climbing the ladder on your own. Stop trying to make people like you so you can get ahead. God is the one who opens doors and gives promotions. You can't control people or circumstances, but you can control your walk with God. If you want to move forward in life, follow God's path, not the world's way. Teaching point no. 3. Your pain can become someone else's blessing. Now that Joseph was in charge of Egypt, he was prepared for a terrible famine that hit the country. Without Joseph's help, Egypt would have never survived. In fact, Joseph's previous troubles allowed him to relate to other people's pain. He also used his knowledge to secure food supplies and save the Egyptian people. That's why the scripture says, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives." Even the people who betrayed Joseph couldn't stop God's plan. They actually became part of that plan. When Joseph saved them from famine, they were so grateful that they fell down and worshipped him. That's real power. Knowing that God can turn my pain into someone else's blessing encourages me to keep going. It reminds me that every struggle has a purpose. We just might not see it right away. Life application. Think about the struggles you've been through: betrayal, waiting, disappointment. Instead of asking, "Why me?" begin asking, "Lord, how can you use this?" Let's make a plan this week. Reflect on one difficulty from your past. Thank God for how He's using it to shape you. Gratitude shifts our focus from pain to purpose. Closing, remember, your story isn't over. The pit is not the end. The prison is not permanent, and the palace is not too far away. Trust God's timing, and watch Him turn your pain into purpose. Thank you for joining today's teaching. If this encouraged you, please like, share, and subscribe for more Bible-based encouragement each week. God bless you.